Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Freddie. Today I just wanted to hop on here and record a video for you guys real quick. I think throughout the month of January, and probably just for the new year, but I don't think I'll, plan as far out as the new year to say something like this. But I think I'm going to upload a video every single day along with the newsletter as well, because I've kind of gotten into a new habit, and that is waking up in the morning, writing for about 45 minutes with that morning intuition, that morning energy, where you can just wake up and just spit out some beautiful artwork. If you've never tried writing right when you wake up, or when you wake up at 3 in the morning, or whatever time, it's beautiful. Right in a full stream of consciousness, which by that I just mean write to yourself with all the uhs and but dot, like all of your thinking, write it out. Don't hold anything back. Say I was doing this, and oh yeah, that's what it was, and then this and that and this and that. Like just keep writing like that, and you start kind of getting in this state where you're kind of speaking to yourself, and it's almost weird and really addicting, and it's just something that I've really adopted over the last, like, I don't know, 6 months. Anyways, write in a full stream of consciousness, do it in the morning. So for me it's about 45 minutes to an hour. I can just sit there and just write. Like, I mean, I'm typing like a madman, and it's an hour later, and I look back, and I have a whole newsletter, a whole, at least, sometimes two. And if not a newsletter in there, then I take what I've written and turn it into a newsletter. So if it's not formatted right, or like I said, I don't want to include all the as and us and buts in there. But other than that, it works really well for me. So I write in the morning. I turn that newsletter into 3 tweets. Those tweets turn into Instagram posts. I film some Instagram content by turning my YouTube videos into shorts, and Instagram videos, and posting them as well. The main thing that I'm recording is this right here. It's the video. So I write the newsletter in the morning. I use that as a script. That's the video, and then the video I turn into other forms of content, short form content. So I've kind of gotten into this kind of flow that I like. So I think throughout the month of January, I'll do that every single morning, just and upload a video like this. And so what I'm going to do for this video is just read my writing from yesterday, which is a quick, I think about 35 minutes. And sometimes I get a little longer than this, but I had to cut this one short. So let's hop straight into it. So something I learned yesterday from a man who's made quite a bit of money, he said, money is like shit. If you leave it all in one place, it stinks, and if you spread it around, it grows. So he says, to build a great money relationship. He says, build a great relationship with finance. And because if you speak the language of money, you can persuade money. And she's a hard to get, type, but if you can talk to her, you can talk to her, and you can get her pretty easy. So that's money. And let's continue. I said, I do have a great relationship with money. I don't know if you guys have studied the markets. If you haven't, I highly suggest doing so, at least to understand the basic terms and principles of the market, of compound interest, of the S&P 500, index funds, bonds, risk, stocks, the difference between stocks, the difference between holding long term and short term, and what it does with compound interest as its chariot. Yeah, I would recommend that you start to dollar cost average like 10% of your income into, say, the S&P and things like this. And this isn't advice, it's just things that have worked for me. So I would say, like, learn about those types of things and what happens when you do that, because I'll tell you why in just a second. So I said I have a good money relationship. I've decided to and learn to respect money and be indifferent towards it, which in this context is not contradictory, because respect, it just means understanding what money is and the function of money, and the being indifferent towards it is to know that money has no feelings. Money is a currency used to exchange goods for services and to make people happy and things of this nature. If you want to learn more about that, type in the video Respect Money and Be Indifferent Towards It by Anton Creel. It's on YouTube, and I will drop it in the description as well. So build a good money relationship. Learn a lot about finance, because if you do understand everything about finance, you speak the language of money. If you speak the language of money, then of course you can persuade her. If you can persuade her and you don't speak her language, she'd have to be pretty stupid, and money's not stupid. So learn her language, or his language. So I continued on to say, when I make a lot of money, I'm going to do things like donate and build schools. Why am I going to do that? Because instead of just spending money, instead of just spending money on goods and services that are for me, then I can use money. People don't use money, they spend money. They give money away. So if I'm going to give money away, then I'd rather give it to something who I liked, or someone who I liked. And so I said, I'll build a school, or maybe 10, because I do think it's important. I think it's important even though I didn't graduate high school. I didn't even go past 10th grade. But those are our years of very malleable belief systems and turn us into who we become in modern society. If you want an example, refer to modern society. The US school system creates workers. I said it spits them out to a very well-defined path, and it was useful, arguably, in the past when they needed workers. Arguably. When they needed farmers and farmers' children's children to come into society that was newly built during the Industrial Revolution and needed these farmers and their kin to become factory workers and nothing else. They needed someone to power everything. This was what school was for. They set it up like this. They were set up like factories. You have to raise your hand to go to the bathroom. You have to have a hall pass when you're outside, or you get in trouble. This is factory work. You can't leave your designated area. You all do the same things. You go to lunch at the same time on the click of a bell, and every single time that bell rings, you're like sheeped back into another area every single day, day in and day out. So the school system creates workers. Why does it create workers? Well, because they needed workers. Rockefeller said, I think it was Rockefeller, the first billionaire of US dollars, I believe, said that he doesn't want a nation of thinkers, he would like a nation of workers. And that's what they built for. None of this stuff is on accident. So I said, this is what school was for. They didn't need to fill the ranks of rich, wealthy people, but they certainly needed factory workers and people willing to do labor for the people that understand the world, that understood the world. And the same is today. Nothing has changed today, and nothing has changed since then. So I'll tell you, the people that understand the world and go seek to learn the world and ask a lot of questions, the people who glitch out of the matrix, as Luke calls it, that is, glitches out of modern society's ideas and ideals and like I said, modern society's agenda. You don't just now fall into this category of sheep that accepts everything he believes, because you've now developed a way to decide right from wrong, and you've developed that for yourself, and now that you've done that, you know what's true and not true because you've deemed that to be so based off of the principles that you've adopted. Okay, so you want to be able to be open-minded when you're reading from billionaires. Be open-minded when you're reading about Buddhism. Be open-minded when you're reading about religious texts, and be open-minded when you're learning about money and you hear different things about money. Do your own research. Okay? You have to do your own research. If you don't do your own research, you're just accepting everything that people have told you to be true. And because you're accepting everything people have told you to be true, you have no idea whether something is actually true or false. You just believe a falsehood is true, and you believe a truth is true. Let's continue. The people that glitch out of society's matrix are the same people who ask why a lot. These are glitches. When you ask why a lot and you get around other people that do the same, that is, when you get around people who also ask why a lot and get around other people who do the same, you begin to download data sets, as Luke calls them. I heard him explain this concept off of a great question asked by Layla Harper, I believe, on an interview that I watched. And she had asked, what are data sets exactly? And the reason I deem that a great question, by the way, it's not that this is a great question, you could ask everyone, and that's why it makes it a good question. I deem a great question one that gets a great answer, a great input that gets a great output. That's what I call a good question. And she did ask him, what are data sets exactly? I went on to say that a great question eventually always leads to a great answer and a beautiful solution. A great input, response, and a great output, ask AI. A great cause leads to a great effect from you. So if I input good energy somewhere, if I work out, the effect is I will begin to build muscle. I will begin to get this great output that is, for working out, the only answer that you could get. And that's getting stronger. And that's becoming more healthy. And that's feeling better in my day. And then having more energy and thinking clearer. These are all things that just come from the cause of working out. There's nothing else to it. If you focus on causes, you get great effects. I said a great cause leads to a great effect, allowing for a greater cause because now you're stronger, now you can lift more, and the greater cause leads to a greater effect, and so on. So now let's continue on to what Luke said about datasets. He said datasets are pieces of software, lines of code, so to speak, that these glitches in the matrix download from others, download from books, download from, you know what I'm saying, places that people don't normally look or normally understand because they haven't developed their faculties of mind to understand the information even when they take it in. Think of Bitcoin in 2016. We all heard of it. But none of us bought it, right? Except the guys who became crypto millionaires and crypto billionaires. They bought it. They had the developed faculty of mind to say, hey, maybe there's something here. Let me go do my own research. Let me decide whether or not this is true or false. And so these are glitches. So I said they download from others, and they download from learning-based principles, from doing their own decoding, from doing their own studying and their own research, by developing a methodology to solve one's own problems without and rather than outsourcing one's thinking, which is detrimental. What I mean by that is outsourcing your thinking. It's like when you are deciding whether or not to move to a new city and you go up to your mom and you ask her, "Hey mom, do you think I should move to the city? Because it's going to give me this benefit, it's going to give me that benefit. I'm going to meet people who are doing what I do, but they do it at a way higher level. What do you think, mom?" You see the problem here? You're outsourcing your thinking to mom. Because what does mom say? "No, I want you to stay home. I think it would be better. I think you should stay around me. I think," and so on and so forth. And you go on and you do this to your friend. You go on and you ask your uncle. You go on and ask your cousin. You about your life, about your problems, about your solutions, about your things. Think for yourself. Stop outsourcing your thinking. It's detrimental. It happens all the time, everywhere. I see it so often. People outsource their thinking. I do it myself sometimes, and I'm like, why? Like I gotta take a step back and think. Wait, I can think of that answer myself. I don't need to ask someone, and it's not that I don't need to ask someone. It's good to have a fresh set of eyes and ears on a problem, but that does not change the facts. But that does not change the facts. And the facts are that you know your own problem, and you know your own solution, and you know your own reasons, and you know your own drivers better than anyone else knows them for you. And it's the same for them. Don't allow other people to outsource their thinking to you. Tell them to think for themselves and help them through that. So, let's continue. Guys, I hope you guys are enjoying this, by the way. I've never written and talked off a newsletter like this, but I hope it's good. So, next, by creating some way to decide for oneself, this is the methodology that you are using to solve your own problems. By creating some way to decide for oneself if something is right from wrong, or at least to give it a pretty good shot. You want to be able to do that. You want to be able to decide whether or not something is right or wrong, and if you cannot decide whether it's true or false, at least be able to guide yourself towards the one that's generally more correct, generally going to do you better in life. You can kind of tell. For example, the hard thing. If you have a hard thing and an easy thing, the hard thing is going to generally lead you to a better outcome later. You're taking that upfront short-term pain for the long-term gain rather than the other way around. And so, that is you deciding for oneself if something is right from wrong, or at least giving it a pretty good shot. You don't know if the hard thing is actually going to play out better than this easy thing. Maybe that easy thing so happened to be the area you're talented in, and you could have just taken that and ran to the moon with it, but it just so happened. This is also something you ended up really, really loving and combining with that later. But if you never did the hard thing, you skipped right past it. So it just depends what you are. I'll put it like this. You must identify who you want to become. You must have a very clear vision of who you want to be. What does he drive? What does he look like? Where does he live? Who is he with? What does he do? You know what I'm saying? What does he wear? What does his house look like? You know what I'm saying? So things like this. Is his network big? Is it small? Is it important? Is it not? Is it in tech, or is he in trucking, or is he in service businesses? Like, where is this person living? What does he do? Okay, so you want to know who you want to become. What skills does he have? And those are going to be the skills you're going to need to acquire to become that person. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is a chasm. That chasm is of skills, and that skill gap is only going to be closed by you learning and mastering those skills. And learning and mastering skills just so happens to take time. Remember that time by itself doesn't do anything except decay. So it decays things. So you have to build through time. You have to acquire skills and knowledge, skill acquisition, knowledge acquisition, put in effort, do it over time in the right direction, acquiring those skills for the person you want to become, and over time you become that person. As you make progress in those skills and you're able to help people with them, you start to gain fulfillment and that nice feeling in your head of fulfillment. So if you want to learn more about that, I'll talk about it some other time. Or just go straight to Tom Bilyeu, go to Impact Theory University. It's like $97 a month, and he teaches you all the secrets of Mr. Billionaire. So the shit is cool. Next, let's continue. I'm having fun, man. This is cool. So I'm all excited over here. Let's continue though. So these glitches in the matrix, they learn what games we are actually playing. For example, the thing I just explained to you, that's the game of neurology. That's the game of fulfillment, is giving to people and making progress. Giving to people and making progress. Giving to people and making progress. And then as you become the person you want to be, you feel good from the progress. Your skills allow you to help people. As you help more people, they like you more, you keep getting better, you keep helping more people better and better. So that's a game we're playing. And glitches learn this. Glitches learn this about different areas of life that they value. The relationships, how do they work? Human behavior, sales, how does it work? business, marketing, all these funnels, and client acquisition and talent acquisition, and all these different parts of business. How do they work? And so they start learning the games we're playing, so they don't go just play business and mess it up because they don't feel like learning. No, they learn and download data sets, and they learn and execute on them, and they implement and execute on them, and they build those great businesses, and those are the guys you see on the top of the food chain. So glitches, whether or not they're born or not into it, doesn't matter. Everyone has to start somewhere, and someone's family has to have the first person to do it. That can be you. If you want to learn more about that, go read The Power of One More by Lev. And these glitches in the matrix, they learn what games we're actually playing. And once you know something to be true for the first time ever, your eyes are open. This is the difference between knowing something's true from base principles and believing something to be true. This is real. This is true. You're not acting on information and beliefs that you've created, that you've known and decided to be true because you have created some type of way to determine right from wrong, okay? And so you know it to be true because you understand base principles, you understand the foundations, and you decided right from wrong. This is right, and it worked. After you decided this is right and it worked, now it's true. This is true. You are certain. You have certainty, and you know this is how it works. This is how wealth works. This is how skills work. This is how people work. This is how time and money and the correlation between them work. Not how we were taught it, but how I've decided to learn it. Because you gotta be careful, because where you came from is all the beliefs that are just jammed in your head, and they're from your broke uncle, and your broke parents, and your broke grandma. And that's not to say they're broke, as people, and they're not good individuals. They're broke in their bank account. If their bank account doesn't reflect something that you want, do not take their principles for wealth. If they have any, do not take their lessons for making money. Don't do it. You're going to mess yourself up. Does it look like they know what they're doing? This is not something to be rude or mean to your parents, and you can take their advice and just, listen through a filter is what I'm saying. And listen to billionaires through filters for that matter, for that fact. Because I heard some billionaires saying how hard it was to make your first $1 million. I beg to differ. I think it's easier to make $1 million today than it ever was in 1963. When there was a lot less USD in circulation, it was a lot harder because there was no internet, there was no leverage with code and media, there was no nonlinear earning without having people labor work for you. Now there is. Now I can upload a YouTube video, go to sleep, and it could blow up while I'm sleeping, and it's working perfectly fine for me without any labor. It's just literally leveraging code and media. And so I think it's a lot easier to make $1 million. And in my opinion, I'll make my first $1 million a lot easier than Kevin O'Leary and Jeff Bezos and all these guys who are at the top of their game. It's like they grew up at a different time. And people 50 years from now will grow up in a different time where it'll probably be easier and $1 million will be worth even less. So don't just hear, not even parent your parents, and don't just hear billionaires. Take everything through a filter, decide what's right and wrong for you in your situation, for your goals, what you want to execute on, and use it, and get your own outcomes. Do your own research, read your own books, pick your own books, stop reading book lists, just pick your own books. Read book lists from great people, see what they've read, but read into those books and decide 5 or 6 for you and move on to the next one. Don't take their whole list and run around being that person. You're not them. Let's continue. So I said, for an example, this is how wealth works, right? Not how someone told me it works and it just never worked out for me, or it just never worked for us, because this is common in our neighborhoods, this is common where we're from, right? Is some mystical magical force is keeping you and your family bloodline locked into poverty and working dead-end jobs trading hours for dollars. Some mystical magical forces are keeping you and your family's bloodline from learning, from reading, from mentorships. Some mystical magical forces are attached to your family's bloodline, and your family's bloodline is keeping you from becoming a great person, doing great things, and it's just what it is. It's the hand you were dealt, so deal with it. Oh well. That is a very common belief. Ask anyone in Southern California, in LA down to SD, in all the broke cities around here. Ask people, hey, could I make $1 million? Do you think? They will tell you instantly, you're funny. No, only rich people do that. Only rich people do that. Only rich families have that. We don't do that. We can't make $1 million. What are you, crazy? Meanwhile, $1 million is change. $1 million can buy you half of a house here. But yet we can't make $1 million. Even though when they were small, there was $30 billion US dollars in circulation, and now there's 2.2 trillion, and somehow we still can't make $1 million. And they just printed $250 million at the beginning of this year. They put in a print order, the Fed did, for $200 billion worth of $100 and $1 notes. Like literally $250 billion just shoved into the market again. So the economy. And so if you can't make $1 million today, then what hope do you have to ever make $1 million? What I realized months ago now, and you should realize and accept, is that most of what you know and are so sure and that you would swear on and that you would likely fight or die for is all based, and your people would fight or die for, is all based on what people told you to be true. That's it. Like if I ask you, how do you know something to be true? You would just tell me that someone told you it was true. And you happily accepted it, and I happily accepted it. And until you ask why, there's no way to ever fix that. There's no way to ever go back. You were born in your area. You got to identify beliefs that you had, whether or not those were rich or not rich beliefs. It's all different for different goals and for different individuals. If you want to be happy and your depressed family thinks that you have to take a bunch of fucking pills and drink a lot to be happy, then your only sources of how you can be happy are terrible and wrong, right? And so it's not just for money, it's not just for wealthy, it's not you just have to identify their money beliefs. I mean, you have to ask why about everything. Okay, so we happily accepted it. Moving on. Most of all the beliefs that we have, most of everything that we have decided to accept as truths are just things people told us. That is it. When was the last time you studied what money is? What does it do? Or what it does? Where it came from? Where it comes from and how it works and who works for it and who builds money? Where does money come from? Did US dollars just show up? No, they're printed. Okay? But it's like, why are they printed? Well, they're printed because we're the reserve currency. What does the reserve currency mean? Well, the reserve currency means we are the ones that print. No one else can. It means that while we build up debt in the US, it doesn't, to China and things like that, it doesn't necessarily matter until the US dollar collapses, which it may well do, because the US dollar is the currency that's lasted the longest. It's not some invincible currency. And the reason we can take out, say, debt to China for US dollars is because they'll pay us two Chinese dollars, so to speak, for one US dollar, because they want US dollars so they can spend them here. So we can take out debt and debt and debt and debt and debt from all these different countries because they need US dollars. If you want to learn more about that, go read The Changing World Order by Ray Dalio. So, like, these are money beliefs. Like, go read The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Go read finance, basic finances. Go, crack open one book and just read through it, and you'll make more money. And people want to ask, why would I make more money just by doing that? Because you speak money. Because you speak money, you know the terms, you hear the terms, you get involved with the terms, and people that speak the terms of money, and you get involved in places where money goes. And where attention flows, money goes. And where money goes, you're standing because you were there paying attention. You were there learning about what money was going to do. And since you decided to learn what money was going to do, and maybe you learned market cycles, you made a lot of fucking money. So go pick up some of these terms and read them. If none of this is making sense, that's because I don't know everything about money compared to what I should. I probably know 1% maybe of all of everything that I should know about what I want to know about this world. Go do your own research, decide some things for yourself, and tell me what you find. Let's continue. So I said, when was the last time you read about money, you asked about money, you really decided what money was and what it does and what it's for and where it came from and who made it and why are they allowed to? And once you learn those things, you'll be better off. But you haven't, right? So when was the last time you read it? Never? Maybe once? Maybe somewhere in a finance class? Maybe? But they don't teach us to balance a fucking checkbook in school or anything else for that matter. So yes, I think school is important, but not in the way that they have the system now. So I would very much like to build my own school, and I will do that. I will not stop until I get to the top of all of these things. I will not stop learning about business. I will not stop reading. I will not stop building my mind. I will not stop building my areas of life that I value to become rich in those areas, wealthy in those areas, or abundant in those areas, which is skills, which is knowledge, which is my faith, which is my spirituality, which is my calm mind, which is my loving family, which is my partner, my relationship, which is all of these different things, which is business and my finances, my health and my body. These are areas that I value, and I just keep going, and it's like with the personal brand thing, it's this YouTube videos and newsletters and what have you, they're really fun for me, but the point is they didn't start fun. They started hard. And when I say, oh yeah, I have, I do videos and whatever, people instantly, even though I'm not the best ever, instantly tell me things like, oh yeah, millennials, they have it so easy. They're just so natural on camera. They love it. Really? I hated it. I didn't post my first Instagram post or YouTube post or anything until this year. I recorded 1,000 videos before I ever started speaking decent to a camera. And so, like, we're not natural on video. It's all repetition. It's all iteration. People that did learn to be natural on camera easily as kids, it's because they were learning in a state of a child. They were learning in the state of play. They were learning for fun. They were learning to be cool among amongst their groups, their social groups at school and all these things, right? I wasn't. I was awkward, weird, and didn't want to do any of that. I never learned a thing about cameras, so or speaking on camera or uploading posts or having an online presence, and I only imagine this to be true for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of more people. So yeah, if you think it's hard to speak on camera, just start doing it. There's no other way around it. And so yeah, if you think it's hard or difficult for you to speak on camera, just start doing it. Throw your phone up, start talking about whatever, give yourself a topic, talk to yourself. You don't have to upload it and do it 1,000 times, and then you'll start getting good on camera. You might look like a natural. That's what people tell me. So let's continue. So I asked you, when did you last read about money? And yet, if you respond, never. But yet, if I ask you, you would tell me that you know how money works. But really, when it comes down to this, and I know how money works, but really, when it comes down to this, it's hilarious. Really, it is, because quite frankly, I have no fucking idea myself how money works. And that's why I'm not a multi-billionaire. And I'm not managing money for the whole world. So please tell me more. Like, if you do know something I don't about money, I'm here for it. And in the comments, go ahead and let me know. So, you think you know how money works. Your family thinks they know how money works. Your bloodline thinks they know how, your people, your friends think they know how money works. Even better, or worse yet, you believe it to be true. You believe it to be 100% true, and all that you believe about it was told to you without you questioning anything you heard, without you deciding whether or not something was true or false for yourself. You just accepted it, and that's why you believe it's true. Okay, continuing. For example, somebody might swear on their life to my face right now, like straight to me, that $20 is $20. It's worth 1.5 hours of time. In every warehouse and place you've worked in your life, $20 is worth 90 minutes. 1.5 hours. That's what $20 is, right? What if I told you that $20 could actually turn into $200 or $20,000 if you put it into this Starbucks stock back in 1976? And what if I told you that if you bought 10 shares of this marijuana stock where they're trading for nothing, and maybe they're even less than $2 a share, but let's just use this for an example. If I told you there was 10 shares of this marijuana stock, they were trading for almost nothing, they just started going public, right when marijuana stocks and weed companies started blowing up, right? And if I told you that 10 shares for $20, i.e. a dollar cost average of $2 per share, ended up costing people $80 later when marijuana companies blew up. And now that your measly $20 bill that you worked 90 minutes for, that you made a year back and kept working, kept living paycheck to paycheck, trying to, make expenses meet, make ends meet with your little job, making $1,000 a week and never thinking about it again. What if I told you that $20 bill turned into $780? Because the $2 shares that you bought, and you got 10 of them, turned into $80 shares. And now your $20 bill is worth a $780 bill. What if I told you that? Would you take that trade? Would you take that information and go use it? Would you see that happen and would you do it again? Would you go learn the markets and read about them after that and lean into this interesting thing that you've just come across? Or would you just walk past it? Would you just not think anything of it? Because the markets have been here since we've all been born. Why are our parents not teaching us about them? Are we just going to keep walking past them, being blind, ears and eyes? And so you see what I'm saying? You have to start to develop the faculties of mind that allow you to deter right from wrong. Because if you can't, then you'll just determine it wrong. Because the markets are scary, the markets take your money, the markets are gambling, and you'll just move on with your merry life. Great. So, would you begin to see and learn why risk and debt and words like fear are so sought after by rich, wealthy men and women? Or would you just let it go by? Would you let that same scenario happen and let it pass? Would you say, wow, a little bit of money for the first time ever? Would you cash out and go spend that $20 bill that turned into $780 on some fucking shoes? And I said, now I'm talking to myself, and I've learned my lesson. I did buy shoes. My first $550 check, I bought shoes. I thought this was cool. I thought this was status. I thought this was what you do. And would you be proud of yourself, even though you weren't necessarily at fault? But remember, It does not change who is to blame. I am 100% to blame for what I did, and I take full responsibility for it. Because extreme ownership, you got to remember, is not like the law. It isn't, oh, he hit his car from the side, and so it's that guy's fault and not his. No, it's not both their faults, and you can blame guy one instead of guy two, but it's both their responsibilities now to go fix their cars and to go call the insurance company and to go, you know what I'm saying? Because no one else is going to take your car from the driveway to the shop. So it's still your responsibility. So extreme ownership is not, it's his fault, so it's not mine. Because I can say, oh, it's my family's fault, it's this person's fault, it's that person's fault. No, it's their fault. Maybe they're to blame, but it's my fault if I don't take action and fix it. I am at responsibility. No one else is going to change that for me. So let's continue. And I am to blame for spending my newly made money on shoes. It's all my fault. And I had to take that lesson and learn and be better. It is the only way for me to move forward and improve my life and circumstances as well as that of my family's. But fast forward, and we're here learning about the markets and finance and all these things because I really did go do that. And then that is actually how I, managed to change my beliefs about money. I started studying people that made a lot of fucking money. And so let's continue, right? So you have certainty. For the first time ever, and you are sure this is how wealth works. This is it. This is it. I can do it and I can win. I can win for me and my family. And I know, and I'm certain, and I'm confident and sure of this. And so you will. You're sure, you believe it to be true, you've learned it, and you're going to keep learning it, and so you will. You'll make money. Congratulations. And so, because the reason you'll make money is because your truth has changed. You've glitched out of the normal society norms and beliefs, ideas and ideals. And if you would like to see what normal society builds, look around you. It's everywhere. People are working jobs. People are barely making ends meet. The same rich, wealthy guys are the same rich, wealthy guys as they were before. And all the broke people are still doing the same broke things. And they still think it just doesn't work for us. So look around. Society builds that. If you don't want to be that, you need to ask more questions and you need to learn more. And you now understand something that most people just don't and just won't. And you keep doing this. You continue to ask why. You ask why, and you ask why, and you ask why. Why, all the way till you're down to the base principle. Oh, that's why. That's how that works. Oh, okay, I got that. Let me write that down. Let me see how I can use this. Let me go use it. And so you learn the base principles, and you're around others that do the same. And you're around others that went and downloaded their own data sets and are also open-minded and open to downloading new data sets and open to being around others who are like you and like them. And so you're around a bunch of people who are doing the same, but doing the same in their own way. The way of the glitch, right? You're doing the same, but it's your own path. You're walking your own, forging your own path. This is the glitch. Luke said that you must be open to download software into the hardware, which is your mind and body being the same thing, so you have to prepare both, and you have created a way to determine right from wrong and why it's right for oneself. This is how you download datasets. This is how you glitch. So yes, you can keep doing this, and you can do it in wealth. You can do it in the mind. You can do it in the body. You can do it in the world. You can do it in happiness. You can do it in skills. You can do it in how all things work and how people and their behavior and their psychology and their brains work. People don't just know these things. If you go learn these things, you get to manipulate, use them to your advantage, people in the world around you. You get to use them. If you are outside of people's perception and everyone else is in this big perception of the world, you get to manipulate all the people stuck inside it. So make sure you ask questions. Make sure you start to develop your own mind. Make sure you start to develop your own mind with a group of people who are doing the same. This will help you and guide you. This will help you be more happy and to feel the highs and lows of life that other people just never do because they're never taking risks because they think risk is scary and they think gambles are scary. But gambles aren't scary if there's calculated risk involved, if it's risk averse risk. And now it's actually not a 1% chance you'll win, it's actually a 65% chance you'll win. And you're taking 4 bets at a time. So this is diversifying your money. And now that you're taking 4 bets at a time that are all 60%, maybe one of them goes to 0, maybe 2 go to 0, but 2 blow up. Maybe 3 go to 0, but 1 10x's. And you make all your money back plus some. So is risk bad? No. Right? If you take no risk, you get 0 reward. It's how it works. So you continue to ask these questions about the mind, about the body, about the world, about happiness. How does it actually work? It's not fucking depression pills. It's not that. You know how it's not that? And I know that because I fucking crushed depression pills. I stopped. I stopped cold turkey in fucking 3 months ago, in 4, 5, 6 months, I don't even know how long ago anymore. It doesn't even matter because I kept trying it over and over my whole life and it just kept failing me. in different ways. So I just kept developing my mind. I thought at one point, okay, I'm strong now, I'm good. I get off it, I fucking fall into a shithole. Okay, it didn't work. I do it again, I do it again, I do it again, it works. So, like, in the way that it worked, the way that I solved depression is meditating, is reading, is progressing, is the way I explained to you guys earlier about making progression with skills that help people. So, you need to learn all these things, otherwise you're fucked. People will just hand you pills. People will hand you this shitty fucking hand that you're dealt and tell you it's just what you got to deal with and all this nonsense. And so that is my video today, guys. That is the newsletter I wrote yesterday. I hope you guys enjoyed whatever the hell I just said and hope you guys learned something that you can take and use. I know this is a longer form of content, but really it allows me to really show you who I am, show you what I'm thinking, I guess, and I'll probably continue to do it throughout the month of January. So please, my friends, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and drop a subscription and go subscribe to my newsletter as well, because I just pretty much write this out what I just read to you and send it out every single week. So if you would, drop me a follow on there too. I appreciate you guys so much and your time. Please have a very great week, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye.